Good morning and welcome to the campus of Austin College. It's very good. It is a special day on campus. For those of you who may not know, I'm Stephen O'Day. I'm the president of Austin College. And it is very much my privilege to welcome all of you to campus today and to share some time together, in particular with our very special guest who I'll introduce in just a minute or two. Mr. Herschel Walker is with us today. Yay! So as you all know, this is really the culmination of our MLK celebration that really has spanned the entire weekend. It started with a parade that left from the courthouse steps on Saturday at noon, and we paraded here to campus for a wonderful celebration on campus. This morning we had the Rotary Club breakfast, packed house in here. Our student Timothy Crossley did a wonderful job in his talk, and of course Mr. Walker did an equally great job in his talk this morning, and we hope to continue that. And so this morning, this is our Texoma-wide motivational rally. And I am so thrilled to see so many of you here with us today. This is a great privilege for me for events like this to welcome everyone to campus. And coincidentally, and I'm very excited about this, as this is happening, it also happens to be our annual MLK open house preview day for high school seniors and their families. So if, as you're traveling around campus today, you see a big group of people walking around, that's who that is as well. And I think it's wonderful that they're here today sharing this event with us because it's very much a dynamic campus, and you never know quite what a day is going to be like on campus, so this is a special one. I have just a few housekeeping items for everyone. So one question I know people have been asking is, are you allowed to film or photograph today's events? The answer is, of course, yes. But I will also let you know, that we are filming this professionally, and we will make the links available to this event within the next day or so on the college's website. Autographs. Not today, please. Mr. Walker, we've been asking a lot of him. We've been bouncing him from venue to venue. He's been doing great. He's been wonderfully gracious in taking a lot of selfies this morning, Herschel. Thank you for that. And also, there are frames that lend themselves beautifully. Folks are holding them up in the back. They are autographed by Herschel. Feel free to get your picture taken, a little selfie moment with those frames, and post those to social media and make sure that you use the hashtag ACMLK2020 to commemorate the day. And so we're going to have a Q&A session next, and it's going to be a wonderful session, I'm sure. I hope you have some questions. We'll make sure there's some time toward the end of the discussion for Q&A from the audience, and we'll have folks with microphones running around. But before then, let me make some introductions. First of all, David Reed. David Reed is the sports director at KXII Channel 12 News and is going to moderate this morning's session. David is a native of Texoma. He attended Baylor and began his broadcasting career in 1994 in Waco, Texas. In 2001, he returned home to Grayson County to cover the sports that he was raised watching and playing. He's covered it all, from the Battle of the Axe to the Cotton Bowl to the Mavs NBA championship. He's an award-winning broadcast journalist, and thank you, David, for being here today. And while David is a wonderful introduction, and I'm grateful that he's doing this session, there's actually one other introduction I'd like to make, and I know you've been waiting for this one as well. Herschel Walker. Mr. Herschel Walker is known not only across Texoma, but he's literally known around the world. He's from Georgia. He played football for the University of Georgia Bulldogs. He won the Heisman Trophy in 1982. He's the author of Breaking Free, where he shares his story of being diagnosed with DID, dissociative identity disorder. He's a legendary athlete in football, track and field, the Olympics, and competitive MMA. He also serves as co-chair of the President's Council on Sports, Fitness, and Nutrition. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me in welcoming both David Reed and Mr. Herschel Walker to the stage.
Well, how about this? Herschel Walker, everybody. First of all, we're so glad you're here. Herschel Walker, sitting here at Austin College in Sherman, Texas. This is a thrill for all of us. We appreciate you being here.
Well, thank you. It's
right?
funny because, well, I'm not that far away, so it's good that I am here. And I got to thank my wife and Don and Damaris Nobler, because Don do a lot of work here in Sherman. I've been trying to get him to let me come and work with him, but he won't let me. So now since I'm in Sherman, you guys got to tell Don that I can work with him here in Sherman as well.
Absolutely. And first of all, I mean, you look like you could still play football. Everybody knows about the push-ups and the sit-ups, and obviously you're still doing that. Tell us about the workout.
You know, my workout hasn't changed that much. I'm doing probably about 1,500 push-ups every day, about 3,500 sit-ups every day.
Wow.
I'm still running like I always ran. And I say this and people think I'm bragging. I couldn't play a whole game today, but I could play a little bit. And I probably can do better than some of the guys that do it and stuff. And this was weird. I'm still able to compete. Okay, I'll get rid of this. But I'm still able to compete like I used to compete. So I love competition. I tell people, you may beat me with talent, but I don't think too many people can outwork me. That's one thing I learned a long time ago, is how to work. So you can beat me with talent, but no one can ever outwork me.
I think maybe you could have helped the Dallas Cowboys this year.
Well, I think a lot of people could have helped the Dallas Cowboys this year. You know, it was tough to see Jason leave, because, you know, I played with Jason. I've known Jason for a long time, but I think it was time. I think Jerry Jones made a right decision, and I've said it many times. Jerry Jones is one of the best owners in the NFL. And I think it was time, and I think they got a great coach right now. And I look forward to some good things with the Cowboys this coming season. I think it's going to be a turnaround. They got the talent. They've had the talent for a while, and I think Coach Mike can put it together, and I think they're going to do something special.
I think a lot of people in this room hope you're right.
Well, I hope I'm right, too, because otherwise I'll be putting in for the job.
That might not be a bad thing.
No.
Last time I saw you, a week ago, you were on television in New Orleans for the national championship game. Clemson was playing LSU, great game. But I noticed what happened at halftime. They unveiled the top 10 college football players of all time. And you, Herschel Walker, out of 150 years of college football, were named number 2 all time on that list.
Oh. You know, I was happy, and I was sort of embarrassed at the same time, because in life, no one does anything alone. No one does anything by themselves. And I was saying it earlier upstairs that, you know, I've been awarded so many different things. I won almost every award a running back can win in college football. But, you know, I don't have an offensive lineman that ever made All-Pro, any offensive lineman that ever been considered to be a top lineman. And yet I get all the awards, and I know I didn't do it by myself. And one thing I think ESPN about is one thing you don't know about me. I don't watch football. I don't watch football, and I think football is too long. It take too long on TV, so I'd rather watch Judge Judy or something like that. But after this 150 year college football, I really got into it, watching it. Well, watching the 150 years, and everyone would say I was number one, and I said no. And I argued with him. I said I thought Jim Brown should have been. And, this is a great day to talk about this because, this is MLK Day, Martin Luther King, who done some incredible things for not just Black America, but for America in general. And I think that's what a lot of people don't realize. He wasn't just about Black America. He was about equal rights for everybody. I don't care who you were. And
Yeah.
so that was a great thing. But as I was watching 150 year of college football, I noticed whenever they were talking about the best players to ever play, they always left out Jim Brown. And if you watch 150 year of college football, Jim Brown was never really noticed because of the time he played during that time. Jim Brown was absolutely incredible, and to be honest, he should have won a Heisman Trophy that year, but they were not giving it to African American. And I told Jim Brown in New Orleans, I say, I want to thank you for the sacrifice that you've given for me. Because if it was 5 years earlier, or let's say 7 years earlier, you would have never heard of Herschel Walker. Because a lot of African America could not do what Jim Brown was doing. And I think Doug Williams. And people said, what are you talking about, Doug Williams? I said, let me tell you the reason I think Doug Williams. Doug Williams played at Grambling. But I heard a coach say, which was very interesting, I didn't know Black players could think until Doug Williams. And I'm like, whoa, where did they get that at? And because I said, I had to thank Jim Brown and Doug Williams. And I thank ESPN for putting out 150 years of college football. Because I'm going to tell you another fact you didn't know. I think you watched that movie, Hidden Figures, with the African-American women that were doing the NASA thing. Well, do you know that one of the women's son was the first Black player at the University of Kentucky who played quarterback? So so sometimes you can watch shows that you think are not interesting, but I learned a lot from watching those shows. So Judge Judy is not just a show talking about Judge Judy, but it's a show of education.
Well, let's talk about your time at Georgia. And you had a fantastic career there. You won a national championship. Of course, you won the Heisman Trophy. You were up for the Heisman Trophy the other 2 years you were there. Tell me a little bit about that time and what made you decide to attend the University of Georgia?
Well, I ended up flipping a coin to go to the University of Georgia, and I tell the story. My mom used to say, if your mind and your heart is pure to the Lord Jesus, it really don't matter about your decision because God will make it right for you. And I flipped a coin. That's how I ended up at the University of Georgia. And what was strange is when I went to the University of Georgia, I was like scared to death. Coach Dooley, he was an ex-Marine, and I was scared to death because I tell people that, my parents spanked. Not that I'm advocating the spankings because Adrian Peterson messed that up. But anyway, but what was wild is I wanted to do everything right because my parents were only about 2 hours away, and I know if I had gotten in trouble, they would have called the coach, and my parents would have been there right away. And I tell people, football for me was more than just a game. People think football is a game. Football for me is more than just a game because I came from a small little town that didn't have that much. Kids that, they don't dream that much. And going to the University of Georgia was an opportunity that I can show every kid in my hometown that you are me. You just got to do the right thing. You are Herschel Walker, and I had a responsibility going to the university to do what's right, meaning not to get in trouble, meaning to do my work, meaning to go out there and play this game, not to become, there's no such thing in my mind as superstars because no one get there by themselves. And so this game is more than just a game to me. And that's what people don't get is I take it very seriously. And a lot of people don't know, my last 2 years with the Cowboys, I told them I just play for minimal. I didn't really care because I was getting ready to get out of football anyway. I didn't think about the money. I've never done anything in my life for money because I think I was blessed through my Lord Jesus Christ that, God is going to take care of me. God take care of the birds and the, I tell people he take care of the birds and all those things, so why would he not take care of me as well? So I don't worry about it. I know I'll be okay. I'll be okay.
And after you left Georgia, you joined an upstart football league, the USFL.
USFL.
Tell us about that time in your life, why you chose the USFL, and what it was like playing for the Generals.
Well, I flipped a coin on that too. I flipped a coin that if go to the USFL or stay there at the University of Georgia, and it came up for me to go to the USFL, and I flew off to New York. And what's interesting is that's where Donald Trump comes in my life. People don't know I started with Donald Trump. He was my first boss I ever had. I've been working for Donald since 1986. No, I worked for him from 1983. Been with Donald Trump since 83, and I tell people, I've known this man, and that's why when they talk about racism and all that stuff, I get angry because I've known Donald Trump longer than anyone in Washington have known him. I've been at his table. I've been with Donald Trump forever, and I can tell you right now, he's not a racist because I don't care what color you are, he's going to talk about you. You talk about him, he's going to talk about you, and that's the way the man is. He's always been like that. But, I raised two of his kids. They were with me, and I remember, this is an interesting story. I told little Donald, I call him Little Donald, he's not little no more. I told little Donald in 1984, we were training in Orlando, Florida. I said, Donald, if your father bring you down during training camp, I'll take you over to Disney World because for a week during the summer, Donald and little Ivanka would live with me. So I told him if he come down, I would take him to Disney World, where he came down and he used to call me Uncle Herschel. And I said, okay, I'm going to take you to Disney World. Well, Donald Trump said, well, I think I'll go along with you guys. I said, you're going to go to Disney World? Yeah, I'm going to go to Disney World. Now, he got on a suit because, he always wears a suit. Sometimes he wears a suit laying out at the pool. He's got a suit on and stuff. And Donald Trump goes to Disney World, and I think I have a picture somewhere of him on that ride. It's a small world. After all, it's a small world. I don't know why I thought of that, but it sounds pretty good. But I have some pictures of Donald Trump on some of the rides and stuff, and I was going to put them out, but I figured if I put them out, he's going to talk about me. And he got more followers on Twitter than I do, so it wouldn't be a good idea.
Well, because of your experience in the USFL, it afforded the Dallas Cowboys the chance to draft you in the NFL draft. What was it like transitioning out of the USFL, going to the Cowboys and playing for Coach Landry?
I absolutely loved it. I thought Coach Landry was one of the finest people I ever met in my life. Not just a coach, but a man, a leader, father, husband. I tell you what, he was absolutely incredible because what he said, he meant it. And he controlled authority. And what I mean by that is guys respected him so much that you knew not to get in trouble. You knew what to do, and he didn't have to tell you. You knew it. And one thing about Coach Landry that I admire more than anything is in football during training camp, you practice 6 days extremely hard, but your 7th day you have off. Well, we used to train out in Thousand Oaks, California. And Coach Landry would not give a player, now these are the NFL rules, would not give a player that 7th day off unless he was married and his wife showed up out there and said that she was in town. And I remember asking him about it, and he said, well, I don't want you to get in trouble on my watch. And he said, players that sometimes are married, that their wives are not there, go out and get in trouble. And if your family life is not together, you're no use to me here. And I thought that was very, very good because he worried about you as a person than just as a football player. That meant a lot to me.
That's outstanding. When you went to Dallas, they already had a Heisman Trophy winner in the backfield by the name of Tony Dorsett. What was it like when you joined the team and Tony Dorsett sitting there already at the running back spot?
Well, it was great because I showed up in Dallas and Thousand Oaks. My roommate was Tony Dorsett. So Tony Dorsett, and there was a guy by the name of Todd Fowler, who was from Van, Texas. We were roommates. Tony is very clean. Tony is a clean freak. I'm a semi-clean freak. Todd is a messy Marvin. So we had three of the most opposite guys, but we got along so well. And Tony really helped me out a lot. Tony is my best friend today. And Tony helped me out a lot. And that's what makes a great team, a team that supports each other. And it was absolutely incredible. I got a chance to play with like these Randy White. Randy White was absolutely incredible. Ed Too Tall Jones, Danny White. This is honest truth. I've been playing football for years, but I learned to play when I got to Dallas, sitting with Danny White in a meeting, and Danny White's a Herschel playing running back. You got to be more than just running the football. He said, being a running back, learn what the offensive linemen are doing. Learn who they block. Learn who's your strongest lineman. Learn who's your weakest, because it helps you to run the ball. And for any young running back in here, that's what I'm going to tell you. If you're a running back, learn who your offensive linemen are blocking. Because when you run to that side, you know who's your stronger blocker. You know who's your weaker blocker. You know how to give a little bit. And I think that can help you out a lot. And it helped me out a lot being there in Dallas.
Well, after a few years, Jerry Jones bought the team, brought in Jimmy Johnson.
Got rid of Herschel Walker.
I got to ask you about the trade sent to Minnesota. Tell us a little about how that went down when Jerry Jones came in, bought the team.
You know what was interesting is I just led the league in rushing, so I was pretty hot on myself at that time. And after training camp, I get a call from Jimmy Johnson to come see him at the stadium at the Cowboys complex in Valley Ranch, and I'm driving over there thinking I'm going to get some great news about something. And when I get over there, Jimmy told me they traded me to Minnesota, and I'm looking like, what? I'm like, where's Minnesota? I'm like, where's Minnesota at? I don't even know where Minnesota is at. It's cold. I'm not going to Minnesota. And what's wild is Jerry and Jimmy didn't know I had a no-trade clause in my contract, so they couldn't trade me. So if anyone remember that time, I didn't leave until 5 games after this season had started, because I wasn't going to Minnesota. And the only reason I left because Jerry asked what we wanted. So I asked for these crazy amount of stuff I thought Jerry would never give to me. And that'll let him know I'm not going to Minnesota. And when he signed it to give it to me, I went, crap. Like, what in the world? Which meant I got to go to Minnesota. But I went up to Minneapolis and absolutely loved it. Minnesota's like a hidden secret, one of the best places I ever lived. Even though it's cold, it is cold. But it was one of the best places I ever lived in my life and stuff. And I absolutely love Minneapolis. And now they got a terrible football team, but it was a great place to live and stuff. But anyway, I enjoy Minnesota. And I do say this, if I ever run for president, I can carry the state of Minnesota. I guarantee I can carry that state.
You going to run for president?
No. I'm in Washington right now, with the fitness council. I changed what the fitness council was supposed to be like. This is the honest truth. This is what's so weird. You hear about people appointed to the fitness council. So we appointed to the fitness council, and I thought it was all great. And then I started doing stuff in Washington. Well, they have ethics lawyers in Washington. So ethics lawyers are always calling me up. And I'm in trouble when they say, Mr. Walker. So I called a hearing in Washington. Everyone else was calling a hearing. You hear the Democrat call a hearing, and the Republican. Sure, I want to call a hearing too. I don't want to get left out. So I called a hearing, which made everybody freak out. And so I called the president. This is untrue. I called Donald Trump. I do have his number. I called Donald Trump and said, hey, they won't let me have a hearing and stuff like this. And he said, well, call Ivanka. You can get your hearing. So I called Ivanka. Ivanka said, Herschel, you can get your hearing and stuff. And so I get a call from the ethics lawyers. And they said, Mr. Walker. So I know I'm in trouble. They said, Mr. Walker, we have a problem. I said, what's the problem? They said that, well, the appointment that you have, most of the people that get appointed your position don't do anything. I said, what do you mean they don't do anything? He said, well, they get appointed that position, but everyone here in Washington does it. You guys just sign off. I said, well, I ain't signing off on anything, so you can forget about that. I said, what you better do is then find out. They said, we don't have a protocol for what you do. I said, well, you better create a protocol right away, because I ain't signing off on nothing, and I'm going to have my hearing. So I got my hearing in Washington, and then I got in trouble the other day, not just the other day, because I was in my hometown. I'm from a small little town. There's nothing there but Piggly Wiggly and Dairy Queen. There's nothing in my hometown. So I was going through Dairy Queen, and they have a score of 100 A+ for a food score. Guys, I'm in the food business. No one have a score of 100 A+. So I took a picture of it and tweeted it out. Well, the Dairy Queen company started sending me coupons. And I'm like, wow, that's great. So I get a call from the ethics lawyer, Mr. Walker, and I go, oh, crap, what did I do this time? Mr. Walker, I saw that you tweeted out the thing on Dairy Queen, and they're sending you coupons. You can't accept those coupons. I said, what are you talking about? I said, well, you work for the government. I said, I don't really work for the government. They give me a stipend. They don't pay me but a little bit. They don't pay me hardly no money at all. Well, you work for the government, and you can't accept gifts. I said, I don't even eat meat. Well, that don't matter. You got to give those coupons back. I said, can I give them to charity? Oh, no, you have to give them back. And, and I said, I cannot believe that because I don't even eat meat, and all I wanted was a dilly bar. I'm like, gotta get a dilly bar. But anyway, so being in Washington ain't the best thing in the world because I'm in trouble all the time. But let me tell you what's so funny. I have changed some stuff up there and how they do stuff. I have 75 people in Washington that work for me, and we work. And right now, I have a bill right now that already through the Ways and Means is on the Senate floor that's going to be passed, which is going to incentivize people to start working out. And what it is when you pay to play for your child to play sports, you're going to be able to write that off. When you go to your health club membership, you're going to be able to write that off. Some of the equipment that you're going to have to buy for your kids, you're going to be able to write that off because I said we have to incentivize kids to start working out because now we have a big problem trying to fight the iPhone, trying to fight the video games. But if we can incentivize kids to start working out, I think that's the way we got to go. And I even asked them to put the jungle gym on the playground again. And they said, oh, Mr. Walker, like whatever. But it said that, kids got hurt, the insurance and stuff. And I said, it's okay if a kid break an arm. You got to be okay. He can put dirt on it, it'll be all right. But the problem we have is we're one of the most obese countries in the world. So what does it matter to put a jungle gym out there for kids to start working out that don't know that they're working out by climbing on a jungle gym? So I'm trying to change some things in Washington along with our president. And I'm not here to be a political guy because I'm not. I hate political people because you got to do what's right, not what you feel is thing. What's right is we're the greatest country in the world. We have to protect each other. We're all one family, white, black, green, yellow, purple. We're all one family in America. So let's keep America. That's not my motto, keep America great again. I'm not taking that from Donald. But we want to keep America wonderful again. And I'm making America fit again. So I'm going to be that motto. I'm going to get America fit again. So don't no one go out and trademark that because I'm going to do that.
You've tried just about everything from mixed martial arts to ballet to writing poetry. What was it about the ballet that interested you as a college student?
Well, ballet was interesting because, there was a couple of football players and I got into ballet. And we were going to the class. And one day I show up and they don't show up. And all the people in the ballet say, oh, you're the last man. You got to come. And I felt guilty. And I stayed with it and I ended up dancing with the New York Ballet and also the Fort Worth Ballet. But ballet is one of the hardest things I ever done in my life. Ballet was harder than football. And people think I'm crazy, but ballet is very difficult. And, what's wild is I think MMA was the hardest thing I've ever done, but ballet is very difficult. And don't laugh at those ballerinas. Let me tell you, they're extremely strong people. And good-looking people, too, good-looking people.
You went to the Olympics on the bobsled team. What was the experience like and how did you get into a bobsleigh?
I got into bobsledding because Willie Gault, and you guys may not know what you remember the Superstars? The Superstars, I used to compete in the Superstars and stuff, and one year, Willie Gault or Herschel, we want to try it for the bobsled team, And I'm like, oh, okay, I love it like this. Never thought Willie Gault would ever call me about no darn bobsled. Well, all of a sudden, he called me up and said, Herschel, we got to go up to Lake Placid to try it for the bobsled team. I go to bobsled. Like, what the heck is a bobsled? Like, I don't know what a bobsled is. You know, I grew up in Georgia. There's no snow in Georgia. I don't know what a bobsled is. But, you know, since I told Willie I was going to do it, I decided to go up to Lake Placid and not make the bobsled team. But I did show up. But I wasn't going to make it because it's cold. And, you know, black people hate cold weather. And I'm not going to go to no bobsled team. Well, when I get up there, there's 1,500 people trying to make 15 spots. Well, 1,490 of them, 1,499 didn't like Herschel Walker. They really was very mean to me. They were nasty. And I said, okay then. Because, you know, when I started out, I was bullied when I was little. People used to beat on me all the time. And they reminded me of the way these kids treated me when I was trying out for the bobsled team. And I said, okay, if y'all want to compete, we can compete. And I went out and I ended up winning that push championship for the United States at the Olympic trials. That was my first time ever pushing a bobsled. Then I went over to Albertville, Germany, to Germany, and ended up winning the push championship for the world. I only been doing it for 2 weeks. I pushed it and I ended up winning that. Well, this what was interesting. So I show up and we're going through the World Cup. I'm over there and I hate cold weather. It's freezing. My teammates don't like me. I only got one guy like me, and that was Brian Scheimer, my driver, and the coaches. My teammates don't like me. They mad at me because they say I play professional sport. I shouldn't be there. So there's a meeting. I walked by a room. There's a meeting going on. I didn't know there was a meeting, so I sneak into the bike like I was late, but the meeting was talking about me. Seriously. They called a meeting, and Herschel wasn't invited. So I sit at the back of the meeting, and I'm listening, and all of a sudden, my teammates are telling the coach I shouldn't be on the team. I shouldn't be on the number one sled because I wanted the right to be on the number one sled. They're telling me that I'm too young. I shouldn't be out here, this and that. And I'm sitting in the back. Well, you know, I do, like, I was diagnosed as having all these personalities, so one may say something you don't like. It didn't come from me, it came from someone else. But anyway, he decided to speak up. Someone spoke up really quickly that didn't get along too well with my teammate. And I said, wait, listen here. I said, you know, I didn't get on the bobsled team to take any one position. I competed for it. And what's so funny about competition is I've been doing this for 2 weeks. You guys been doing it for 6 years. And I beat y'all, which means you're not that good. So instead of you talking about me, why don't you help me and we can win a medal?
No.
Well, they ain't like, no, they ain't like that too hard. So we go through the World Cup, Brian and I go through that. We go through and this was weird. We go through the World Cup and we're staying in halfway houses as everyone else staying in these nice hotels. I agreed to put the whole team up in nice hotels. They wouldn't do it. So all of a sudden, after we stay in these halfway houses that I think, we go to Abbeville, France for the Olympics at Club Med. Now, I've been to Club Med in France. That's nice. You know, I haven't had a TV in like 2 months. I haven't had a phone in 2 months. So now I'm at Club Med in Abbeville, France. They got TVs, they got a phone. I'm ready. And I don't have to be around some of my teammates, so I'm happy. We walk into the room, Brian Scheimer and myself, we pick the phone up, it doesn't work. Turn the TV on, it only get the Olympic channel, so it got no TV. And I said, what? So I marched down to the manager with Brian. And as I walk into the manager's office, he said, Herschel Walker. I said, yes, sir. He said, I'm from Dallas, Texas. A matter of fact, I went to the University of Georgia. What do you need? I said, well, my phone don't work and my TV don't work. He said, don't you worry about it. It'll be on before you get back to your room. So I go back to the room, and all of a sudden, Brian get on the phone calling his girlfriend. One of my teammates walked by, and he said, y'all phone work? So they went down and told the Olympic committee on Brian and I, got us in trouble because they said Herschel is getting preferential treatment, and all of a sudden we get called in front of the Olympic committee. And so now my teammates get me in trouble. So I told them, I said, guys, look at here before I left. I said, the United States Olympic team would never be any good, bobsled team would be any good until you can be a team. I said, you got to believe with each other, you got to sweat with each other, you got to believe in each other. Until you can become a team, you will never win. And a matter of fact, until you decide to make your own bobsled, you are never going to win a medal because the United States were buying Swiss bobsleds. Now think about this. Do you think Switzerland is going to sell you their #1 bobsled? No, they're going to sell you their secondhand bobsled. So what the United States started doing and making a bobsled themselves, and they started coming together as a team, and now we're one of the strongest bobsled group in the United States because the United States is one of the best countries in the world. So why would we not have one of the best bobsled team in the world? And now we do. Long story, but it sounds good. But anyway.
You mentioned you were bullied when you were young, and you overcame a lot of obstacles throughout your life and ended up being the valedictorian of your class. What was that journey like to get to the top of your class?
You know, it's funny because of my DID, I always tell people I lose track of time, meaning I don't remember a lot of little points in my life. But it was tough. It was tough because when I was bullied a lot, you know, I didn't speak in classroom. For 4 years, people didn't think I could talk. 4 years, I never spoke. And when I decided that when things changed in my life, it was sort of like a drastic change, like overnight. And what it was my coping mechanism that I had gotten beat up, and I didn't want to get beat up no more. So I created this incredible Hulk character that can do some amazing things. And I just started going and blowing, not caring about anything, not thinking about anything, and wanting to win everything I set out to do. And I didn't deal with all that anger and all that pain that I went through my life, just blowing, and I won everything, whether it was academically, athletically, I was just winning everything because I was angry. I was angry all the time, and I didn't even know that. And when I got out of professional football, not having the athletic as I was doing, that anger started coming back. And, you know, guys, I don't drink. And I tell people, you know, it's strange because someone asked me, were you not lonely because you didn't go to bars with your friends? And I said, no, I don't drink. I don't want to go to bars with my friends. That's not something I did. That's not something I do. But, you know, I learned being in a hospital that we all fall short of the glory of God, that we all have problems. That's what's so funny, that some people try to hide them. But sometimes you get in a dark, dark place that you can't hide it. And that's what people don't realize, you know. And I'm going to tell this story here. You guys are going to really think Herschel lost it. But, you know, I got a divorce in 1999. And my mom asked me to come home for Christmas. And I said, no, Mom, I'm gonna stay with my friends and stuff. And she said, oh, you ought to come on home. And I didn't go home. But I didn't have any friends then either. Because when I was diagnosed as having DID, most of my friends left because when they say you have a mental problem, people think something is wrong, so they leave. All my friends left me. Well, I ended up spending my Christmas in 1999, underneath the bridge with the homeless here in Dallas. That's where I spent Christmas at. And that's how far gone I was. And I went off to a hospital and went through some treatment there, and I was almost getting ready to give up. And there was a young lady there. I've been calling her Grace this whole time. And I was walking down the hallway, and this is the day I was going to be leaving. I was going to leave this hospital because I'm like, this hospital is doing nothing for me. It's not going to help me. And I said good morning to Grace, and she told me her name was Mary. And I'm thinking, Grace is crazy. And I go over and talk to the doctor about it, and he said, well, her name is Mary, and she's disassociating like you've been doing all your life, Herschel. I said, what are you talking about? And this is the first time I ever heard someone tell me what was happening. He said, well, Mary was being abused by her husband. Said he was an abusive man. Said he was beating on her all the time. She even tried to get some help from the local law enforcement and said they didn't help her then, and said that she tried to get help from family members. Said they didn't help her then either. Said that, and her husband came home one night, been drinking, and ended up beating on Mary and broke Mary's arm, and Mary was all by herself. And she turned the switch and became this Grace woman and ended up injuring her husband and put him in the hospital. and her husband goes to court, and the judge throws her in here. And it hit me that that's what I've been doing all my life. I was ashamed of that fat little stuttering kid that people used to beat up. So I made Superman, that I can run faster, jump higher, and do all these amazing things. But I didn't deal with all that anger. So when I started dealing with all that stuff, I can see the light even better now. I started creating all these companies because a lot of people don't know I have 2 of the largest minority-owned companies in the United States that I built after leaving the hospital. I got into this MMA world, started doing all these other great things. And so that's why I said we all have challenges in life. But what you have to do is you have to get up when those challenges come for you and know that you're not alone. You know, I work with the military, and I want to give a hand to all our servicemen and women because they are the reason we're the best country in the world, because our United States military. Nothing that we do with Starbucks or McDonald's or Magic Johnson or LeBron James. We got the best military in the world. Well, I've been downrange. Well, I've been downrange. I've been working with the military for over 10 years now. I work in the behavioral health side. I work with UHS, we're the largest behavioral health hospital in the world. They've given me 40 hospitals where I treat soldiers. And I've been downrange. I go over to Iraq. And I remember meeting some people from Iraq and different over there. And as I was over there, I see different people over there than I see over here. And I asked myself, can they transition back? Because if they can't, we call them crazy when they get back. Well, I'm telling you, they're not crazy. We just send our young men and women to other countries that they go through things they don't go through here. Like hearing bombs go off all the time at night, or hearing gunshots, seeing things they don't see. Well, some people can handle that, and some people can't, but yet we become a society that we put down those people that can't handle it. Well, that's not right. Those are the people that have sacrificed so much with themselves, with their families, with their kids, their wives, their husbands. They sacrifice so much to keep this country safe. And if this country can't get along the way we have so much divisiveness going on today, it's a shame that we don't know that law and order is the reason we're the best country in the world, because we have laws that we have to follow. This country was built on laws. You may not like the law, but it was built on laws. If you don't like it, go and vote. That's all you got to do is vote. We got a chance to vote. And I'm not here to tell you to vote. But what's so great about this, in other countries, they don't get that chance to vote. Do you know that? And people want to think these other countries are better. Let me tell you what. Why in the world everyone want to come here? Why in the world they want to come here? I don't see too many people trying to leave here to go to Russia. I don't see too many trying to leave here to go to North Korea, to leave here to go to China. You're only going there to visit. I guarantee you coming back soon, because they have different types of stuff over there than we have. So that's why I said this is the best country in the world, guys. And we have to protect it. We need to protect each other. We need to care about each other, and not to say not anything bad, but let's get out of this pay every athlete that want to go into sports. You know, I got onto the governor. I'm not getting on a pedestal. I got onto the governor of California because he just voted in a law to start paying scholarship athletes. Is that not crazy? I'm like, why don't you first take care of your homeless before you get it? Oh, I'm sorry. I got carried away. That was me just venting. I was just venting. I got off of it.
Let's change directions.
Yes,
here.
we'll change directions.
Who's the best running back of all time?
Walter Payton. I think Walter Payton is the best running back of all time. And then you go to Barry Sanders. But, you know, one thing people don't know about Walter Payton, God bless him. You know, Walter Payton was the first-team running back, second-team punter, and the third-team quarterback. Do you know that? That's what he played at Chicago. And Walter Payton was absolutely incredible because he was a leader, not just a football player, but he was a leader on that team. And I think he was the best running back to ever play.
Toughest competitor you ever faced?
Mike Singletary. You know, Mike Singletary hit me in the ear hole one time, and I'm like, oh, wow. I saw these bluebirds and yellow stars. I'm like, what in the world? And stuff. Mike Singletary, because let me tell you, he was a student of the game. And I tell everyone, Mike Singletary I think he should be coaching in pros right now. I'm sad that he's not. And the team that Harbaugh won in San Francisco was really Mike Singletary team. That was a tough team. They had a defense. They needed an offensive coordinator. And I think Mike Singletary won it. And Lawrence Taylor. Lawrence Taylor's another one. Reggie White. Oh, wow. I played with some great guys. Reggie White was, and I'll tell you a great thing about Reggie White. Reggie White he was known as a minister of defense, but he practiced what he preached. Reggie White brought my ex-wife she was born Catholic, but he brought her to be born again. But Reggie White used to go to South Philly on Friday night and preach to the people on the street. Absolutely amazing. He used to go every Friday night to South Philly and preach to people on the street.
Is there anybody you like watching now, current players?
Well, I don't watch a lot of football. I like watching The Rock. I know. I'm trying to think.
You're a wrestling guy, aren't you?
Yeah, I love wrestling. I love wrestling. I love like The Rock, like John Cena. Now y'all probably don't know who that is. I was telling them earlier backstage what was so amazing. I was at a Georgia game. Georgia was playing the University of Tennessee. Peyton Manning's there. So all of a sudden they announced Peyton Manning and stuff, and the fans get wild and crazy. And because they were at Georgia, they announced me. The fans get louder. But then all of a sudden they announced Ric Flair. Y'all know Ric Flair? They went nuts. Yeah, they went nuts. And I was like, whoa, who is this dude? Because I love Ric Flair. And I know y'all don't know who Ox Baker is, but I'm a wrestling guy. I love wrestling. And if I watch somebody today, I don't watch football. I'm trying to think. Let me get a good football player. Who? I follow Dak because he was at Mississippi State.
Yeah.
And I think, and I was one of the people that told the Cowboys drafting Dak would be a great thing. Dak is an incredible, incredible player and stuff. And I'll tell you, a guy that I think is incredible, and I announced this, I saw him play a couple of games, was Burrow for LSU.
Joe Burrow, yeah.
I think that kid is going to be an incredible, incredible quarterback in the pros. I think he's from a great family. He's got his head on straight. And I'm trying to think of another. And I'll tell you, a great football player. Watch this kid at Ohio State named Justin Fields. I told everyone Justin Fields I've watched him since he was a little kid. That kid can play. That kid can really play.
All right, I think we have just a few more minutes. Do we want to take a couple of questions from the crowd and see if you guys want to ask a couple of questions?
And that can be difficult questions. Or we can't see them there in the dark.
We can't see them?
Stand up and just shout it out.
Oh, we got one over here.
Yes, sir. How'd I like?
The XFL.
Oh, the XFL. He said, how'd I like the XFL? I think it's going to be great. I wish they would keep the rules of regular football. And the reason why is there's enough talent in the NFL that some people don't get a chance to play. And I think the XFL can be a farm team for the NFL. So I hope they would keep the rules of not just football, don't go into that crazy stuff, but keep the regular football because there's a lot of talent out there. So I think the XFL is going to be a great thing.
Raise your hand if you have a question. We'll get a microphone to you. Right here.
Hi, Herschel. I wanted to ask, for those who are feeling they might have a mental health issue, at what point did you identify that you needed help and made a conscious decision to seek it out?
He said, what did I realize I needed help? I love old street rods. I love old cars and stuff. And what's weird is I had bought an old car from Philadelphia, and a guy was going to deliver it here to Irving, Texas, where I was living at in Cottonwood Valley. And he would call me up, and he kept canceling the date, and he wouldn't tell me he was canceling it. After I gave him a day, and I would cancel my whole schedule, the guy wouldn't show up. And I give him another date, he didn't show up. He kept doing me like that off and on for about 2 weeks until he shows up in Texas, in Arlington, Texas. I live in Irving, Texas. And he didn't even tell me he was coming. He gave my number to a guy at a service station, and this guy called me and said, Mr. Walker, there's a guy here to deliver you something. What do you want me to do? And my temperature went from 0 to 100 like this. I said, I'm going to kill this dude. Seriously, Herschel Walker. I'm going to kill this dude. I grabbed a gun. Can you believe that? I grabbed a gun. I got in my car and I took off toward Arlington, Texas. And as I'm driving toward Arlington, Texas, like a bat out of whatever, these voices start going off in my head. The voices, people always disrespecting you and dogging you out. That's what this voice said. And this other voice, no, your parents didn't raise you like that. Oh, yes, they did. No, they didn't. Yes, they did. No, they didn't. I thought I was losing my mind. As I got closer and closer to where I was going to meet this guy in Irving, I started to pray. I said, Lord, I'm about to do something stupid. I said, I need you to come. I need some help. I really need some help right now. And I can remember getting out of my car and I put my hand on my gun as I was walking up to this guy. Before I saw the guy, I saw a sign on the back of his truck that said, "Hunk if you love Jesus." And that's what calmed me down. And that's when I decided I really need some help. And I went off to, and that's why I tell everyone, and I'm not going to tell you who to believe in because I'm not up here to tell you that, but I'm going to tell you I believe in my Lord Jesus because he's been there. Let me tell you what, he's been there for me many times. You may hear about all the awards, but let me tell you what, I've had more failures than I had awards because I said, you know all the glory, but you don't know the story. Guys, God has helped me out a lot. And I call him all the time. When they tell Vice President Pence is kind of crazy because he talked to Jesus. I talk to Jesus all the time. I'm like, guys, I don't even have to call him up. Hey, you can talk to him for free. It ain't even on no cell phone. I just talk to him all the time. And I'm always asking for stuff I don't need. And he tells me, "So Herschel, you don't need that." I said, "Yeah, Lord, but give it to me anyway." So, "No, I'm not going to give it to you." "Yeah, well, please give it to me." "No, you're not." Like, you go back and forth sooner or later. I don't get it. And I know he didn't want to give it to me, but he gave me some good stuff, guys. And that's just like people ask me, why did God give me DID? I said, shoot, I'm glad I got DID. Think about this. Hey, I won a Heisman trophy. And I have a personality that built 3 companies. Sure, I have a personality that met every president in the world. This was funny. Guys, I travel with presidents' wives. You all know I started with Ms. Obama. No, I traveled with Ms. Bush, Ms. Obama, Melania. I travel with President White. I'm supposed to be crazy. And a matter of fact, I'm going to get this off my back. I need to get it off. It was so fun. I used to play basketball with President Obama during, he smokes. I don't know if y'all know that. He smokes. And I used to let homeboy school me up. Let's be real. Only because he had a lot of security. He cannot school Herschel. So now since you don't have that many, I'm going to have to call him up because I got his number and tell him he got to play for real. Let him know I can play ball too. But see, that's what I'm saying. Because you go to a place to get help, people think you're weak. I told you, when I announced I had DID, I played 15 years of pro ball, been on an Olympic team. I had a lot of friends. But when I announced that I had a problem, all my friends left me. They left me like I was a vampire. Nobody called to ask me to go to dinner. They thought I had some disease that they were going to catch. But this was so interesting. Since I gotten out of that hospital, built these companies, done all this other stuff, you'll be shocked how many people are coming back right now asking me how to get help, what they can do to get them better. And I say, unless you can admit, you're not going to get any better. You can't hide it and think you're going to be okay. Because there are some people that's in the closet that's so afraid, they're so ashamed. But I'm saying there's nothing to be ashamed of because we all have these problems. And if someone can walk in and tell me that they don't have problems, I can tell you you're lying. Hey, you all have problems. This is interesting. This is a true story. And I told it the other day with Julie, my wife, and her parents. I heard this story about this guy. This is a kid in Georgia who was a third-team running back in high school, third-team running back. And that was the first-team running back had all these scouts coming in to see him play out. I want to say it was in right outside Sandersville, Georgia or something. And all these coaches was coming to see this first-team running back play. And all of a sudden, he hurt his knee before the game on Friday night. Well, the second-team running back is not bad. They were going to watch him. He got hurt the first quarter. Now the third-team tailback has got to play, and this kid ain't done nothing but goofed off in practice. The coach didn't think he can play. All he did was clown around and never done anything. All of a sudden, he go into the game. They end up winning the state championship. This kid have 200-something yard, absolutely incredible player. And all the scouts go to the coach and said, "Why didn't you ever tell us about this kid here?" He said, "Well, I never knew this kid can play." He said, "All he ever done is goof off and stuff." And he said, "Well," they went over to talk to the kid, and the kid said, "Well, my father was blind." He said, "My father was blind." He said that my father passed away last night. And he said, "And this is the first time my father get a chance to see me play." And I said, guys, that's why football is more than just a game. And what's wild about it, every time you step out, your Father, Heavenly Father, is seeing a chance to see you do something. So my father, I lost my father about 6 years ago. My father was absolutely incredible. He had a third grade education. Absolutely incredible man. This man, mathematically, that's probably where I got it from. Incredible. And I told people, my earthly father has gone to see my heavenly father to tell my heavenly father that his earthly kid is waiting to see his heavenly father. Y'all got to follow that. Think about that.
We have time for one more question.
The advice I give to the next generation is to believe in yourself and be willing to sacrifice if you want success. You know, I told a story up in the classroom today, and think about this. And I tell my son this all the time. Whatever you want in life, 1,000 other people want it. Be true to yourself and do what's right. There's this one story I always tell about this, and there's a guy tell it, is my story, about this kid that wanted to be successful. And he went to this guru and said, sir, I want to be successful. I want to have a lot of money. I want success. And this guru tells him, said, if you want success, you got to come down to the beach at 4 o'clock in the morning. The kid said, I don't want to learn to swim. I want to be successful. He said, if you want success, come down to the beach at 4 o'clock in the morning. So the kid comes down to the beach at 4 o'clock in the morning. So this guru walks out into the water about waist deep. And he said, come on out here. The kid said, no, I don't want to swim. I want to be successful. No, come on out here. As he walked out into the water waist deep, they walked out a little bit further, about shoulder width over his shoulders. And as this kid walked out, they took this kid's head and put it under water and held it there. This kid struggling to get up. Then he pulled him up. And he said, now, what do you want when I held your head under water? The kid said, I wanted to breathe. I wanted some air. He said, that's it. You got to want success as bad as you want it to breathe, and that's when you're going to be successful. Because success don't just come just because you want it. Because people always, I hear every kid in the world want to be Stephen Curry. Every kid want to be Tiger Woods. And I said, have y'all seen the film of Stephen Curry when he was 3? And his kid had him shooting baskets, like 100 baskets a night. Have you seen the film of Tiger Woods on the Johnny Carson show hitting a golf ball at 3? These kids wasn't just coming out of their mother's womb, out there doing what they were doing. They have practiced over and over, and they believed in it. So the next generation I would do is do what's right, believe in yourself, and put God first, and you'll never be last. Hey, God bless.
Ladies and gentlemen, Herschel Walker.
Uh-oh.
Thank you very much. President O'Day here to close us out. Herschel
David,
has
thank
another
you.
appointment to get to.
One more time, one round of applause for Herschel and David. So, ladies and gentlemen, a special day at Austin College indeed. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did, as much as our students did this morning. Enjoy the rest of this day. Remember what this day is, to recognize MLK, his life, his legacy. Thank you so much for being here. We'll see you again soon.